From the Ohio River to Tampa Bay, Louisville to St. Petersburg, soccer courses like pure adrenaline. These teams earned their seat at the table. These fans expect nothing less. A two-time champion seeks redemption, and America's premier soccer brand seek a modern trophy. 90 minutes to the summit in the Eastern Conference Final. Welcome to the USL Championship's Eastern Conference Final, the sixth consecutive year in which Lou City plays a part. This time at their gem of a stadium, Lynn Family Stadium, as the Rowdies pay a visit. Ben Lunt has been a brick wall, a 10-save shutout, tying a league record in a win over St. Louis in the conference semifinal, while Lucky M. Kosana has managed goals in each of the Rowdies' 2 wins over Birmingham and over Charleston off the bench. Here's a look at the Eastern Conference playoff bracket. The winner of this game will host the USL Championship Final. It's November the 1st, 8:30 Eastern Time on ESPN, as 2 group winners have reached this point in a season unlike any other. With Dev and Kermike Watts on hand. Dev, when you take a look at what the Rowdies did, it was getting a big monkey off their back.
Facing a team 4 times in a single season, 3 times consecutively dropping to Mike Anhauser. You walk into a game and think, what do we have to do to get a victory? No big deal. We're going to go out and put together our best performance of the entire season, and you can thank Lucky M. Kosana for your shot at the Eastern Conference Final.
M. Kosana, 2 goals off the bench. Tonight's Power Agency player profile is part of ahead of the curve.
Everybody knows that Cameron Lancaster is a goal scorer. He's a poacher. He can strike from distance, but he's giving you a deeper look down into the pocket this year. He's helping out defensively, but watch as he drops in. Beautiful distribution, but he knows his work isn't done. And the key point here is the runs don't intersect each other. Antoine Openo drags to the back post. He understands that that space in front with a quick little check is going to open up for him. Seen it so many times this year, and it's been to the tune of 7 goals in the last 7 games.
Let's take a look at the starting lineups, and they're brought to you by Hometown Pizza. No changes in the 11, only 1 in the 18 for Louisville.
Akil Watts off the bench. Jason Johnson steps on. As we've mentioned so many times before, this team is really ticking at a high rate. Mike, looking at all of their performances years past, games this season, all the records they've put through, this is the strongest Louisville City lineup and team we have ever seen.
Meanwhile, for the Tampa Bay Rowdies, it's stronger now because Leo Fernandez is back in the 11.
It's taken some time to get there as well, and that's okay. When you take a look at the Tampa Bay Rowdies, as the season has gone on, they've matured, they've slipped up in certain areas, but they've learned from their mistakes, and that's the key point here. Coming off that victory against the Charleston Battery, now you get a healthy Leo Fernandez. You've got a midfield 3 that have finally found their identity, and most importantly, you got a guy like Gwenzati up top leading the charge.
Remarkably, this is the 17th home playoff game for Lou City in their history. It's another conference final, and it's a rematch from last year's playoffs. The Rowdies Louisville kickoff when we return.
During the Today's the Day event, lease this 2020 Camry LE for $199 a month, or get the last of the 2020 Camrys with 0 for 60 financing, or get up to $3,000 customer cash. Toyota, let's go places.
Since the beginning of this worldwide crisis, Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport has been flying essential travelers across the country and around the world. We want all travelers to know that we have implemented processes and procedures to ensure your health and safety. We have nonstop flights to over 30 destinations nationwide and easy connections to hundreds more around the globe. When you need to fly, fly Louisville.
Delta Direct Staffing is now hiring 75 manufacturing associates for Cook Filter Corporation. Light assembly at $11.50 an hour with temp to hire opportunity and great benefits. Learn more at deltadirectstaffing.com.
Honey, did you get our account switched over to Commonwealth Credit Union?
Yeah, I got that taken care of, sweetie.
You switched over everything. All our automatic payments, direct deposits, even our savings account?
Yep, I told you I'd get it taken care of.
You should never get stuck with a checking account you hate. That's why Commonwealth Credit Union has made things easy. Try Switch It today, only from Commonwealth Credit Union. Here, we see you differently.
Imagine having the power to annihilate entire worlds.
Humanity is worth saving. What have you done?
Pandora, new episode this Sunday, 8/7 Central.
The swamp, it changes things. There's a darkness. It's been released.
I saw something.
I don't see anything moving.
I'm scared for you.
Swamp Thing, new episode this Tuesday at 8/7 Central on the CW.
Delta Direct Staffing is now hiring 75 manufacturing associates for Cook Filter Corporation. Light assembly at $11.50 an hour with temp to hire opportunity and great benefits. Learn more at deltadirectstaffing.com.
John Ryan Neese is the one who programs these wild light shows pregame. The Eastern Conference Final in a stadium fit for such an occasion. John Freeman looks on. Tampa Bay and Louisville. It's a playoff rematch of a year ago. Welcome to the Eastern Conference Final, Louisville City and the Tampa Bay Rowdies. So glad you're with us tonight. Louisville 13 unbeaten. Tampa Bay finally on the verge of reaching a championship final, which occurs next Sunday night. The winner of this will host 8:30 Eastern time on ESPN. Sean Tosh knocks this over the line. These two teams did not meet in the regular season. The group play in some ways made that a bit extraordinary. The Western Conference finalists El Paso and Phoenix meet later tonight on ESPN Plus. They only met once on August the 1st. Del Piccolo. Lancaster pops over to Hopino. Jimenez. Crowd starts to roar. It's about 5,000 in attendance for this venue that holds about 15,000. Tosh, the USL Championships leader in minutes and now games played in the postseason. Jimenez. Lancaster. Opino. Jimenez streaking through. Jimenez thought he'd have a go. Let's take a look at tonight's keys to the game. They're powered by Kentucky Lottery, who remind you that lottery proceeds fund college scholarship and grant programs, including every dollar of the popular Keys Scholarship Program, Dev.
You're getting a look at it already, Mike, with the window of opportunity for Louisville City as quick as they like to start. In both of these halves, they come up with vengeance, a lot of tempo, and high press. They're going to try and get a goal early. Rowdies have only conceded 13 goals all season long, but 9 of them have come in the opening 15 to 20 minutes of each half. John Hackworth and co know this. On the other side of the ball for the Rowdies, the triumvirate that was Lou City is going to ring true for the Rowdies with their midfield three. Jordan Doherty, Zach Steinberger, and Jan Ekra have become the continuous choices of recent fixtures for Neil Collins. He trusts them, feels like they've provided them the best shape, and they are going to have to play at the highest level possible to get out of here with a victory tonight.
A little bit of a throwback there to a triumvirate, eh?
Just a little something.
Jimenez laces that forward and turned over. Both these teams won their group in the regular season, earned them first round home playoff games by that virtue alone. Tejada. Rowdies finish on 33 points, had a chance on the final day of the regular season to secure the top seed by points in the Eastern Conference. They fell to Charleston. Louisville beat SKC. This ball in front. Oh, how about this? Steinberger, Rowdies lead in the 4th minute. And for the first time in this incredible Louisville winning streak, they do not score first. And a stoic Neil Collins looks on.
We were just discussing the shape for the Tampa Bay Rowdies as this ball rotates outside. Look who's come all the way back across Guenzati, but the back line forgets about Zach Steinberger. He's really taken the reins as their number 10, pushing things forward. Jan Eckerhead dropped deep. Zach Steinberg gets the redirect, and he gets his only goal in the 2020 season inside 5 minutes.
Zach Steinberger, who Neil Collins told us this week has really stepped up. This is a team without what you'd call a true number 10 creative midfielder. But even when he wasn't in the lineup, he only played 10 times this year. Devin, we were told Steinberger always kept 100% focus in training. He earned the opportunity here to score. John Hackworth and Danny Cruz look none too pleased on the Louisville bench.
It's a really difficult take from Zach Steinberger. He's cutting towards the near post. He's got to take it off the foot, redirect it across his body, get it to the near post, and then you've got to beat 6'6" Ben Loon.
Bone from Lancaster. Bone, Omby, Omby. There's the slide in. Jordan Scarlett. Omby again. Out in front, header is just wide. Holpino, who was acquired from the Rowdies last year, as Louisville traded away Lucky M. Kosana. Both have been critical to their team's fortunes in the postseason.
It's a quality start on one end for the Rowdies, but a little bit shaky defensively, and credit to Lou City, who is not backing down. Given everything that's coming at them right now, the opening goal, they have not slowed their pace. They start to battle back immediately. That's a good look for John Hackworth's squad. Neil Collins from the sideline going to have a few words with this back line as things start to open up.
Holpino acquired from Tampa Bay in a deal that both managers say suited them just fine. Holpino used to play for John Hackworth in Philadelphia. Felt was a better piece for the system. M. Kosana available off the bench tonight for the Rowdies, as has been the case most of the year. Throw for Aaron Guillen. This portion of tonight's game brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. Steinberger. This will send Guenzati off a touche. McMahon. McMahon stripped. Steinberger. Steinberger plays this early, chested down. And that's a calm execution from Jimenez with Dalgard close by.
Pretty high tempo here in the opening 10 minutes. It's not necessarily surprising, but maybe a bit that it's gone back and forth. We've become so accustomed to what Lou City brings to the table in their matches in 2020, Mike. Seems like every single time they step on, opening 15, 20 minutes, chance after chance created. Group E had seen it so many times this year. We're stepping into the playoffs. The Pittsburgh Riverhounds, followed by St. Louis FC. And Tampa Bay Rowdies aren't having any of it. And now's the time to just comment a little bit. You go get your early goal. You see how high Steinberger's playing. Interesting that both coaches admitted they're really going to keep an eye on the opening 15 minutes. Not necessarily to see how the game plays out, but more importantly, how coy the other manager can be. Both feel like there's going to be some quality shape-shifting here, more than we've seen in games past. John Hackworth feels like Neil Collins is going to throw something different. You're already seeing that with a really high line from Zach Steinberger. You could probably say the same for Coburn Bone and Del Piccolo. Look at how high they have pressed themselves up.
McMahon. Corbin Bone now. Mentioned this ends a streak remarkable at that for Louisville City. They've gone 13 unbeaten, 8 straight wins. They've scored in the first half in their last 9. They scored first in their last 13 games. Rolled ahead by Holpino, got clipped by Dalgard. Play will come back to the foul. Lancaster is trying to make his move in the wide area against Jordan Scarlett. Free kick, Louisville. It's a 5th, 3rd free kick.
If you're on this back line tonight, think about all the responsibility you have. Forrest Lasso, Jordan Scarlett, Aaron Guillen on left back position. So much rotation coming from Lou City. That's a good look already with Antoine Opino. Lancaster, we talked about it at the top of the broadcast, how deep he's willing to come in. Look at Del Piccolo playing upside next to him right now. A lot of rotation, more importantly, a lot of communication for the Tampa Bay Rowdies to be successful here. Unless we forget that Leo Fernandez, seeing his first start quite some time. Nice to see him back in the 11.
13 starts this year for Leo Fernandez, but had been coming off the bench to start the postseason. Neil Collins told us in the lead up to this game, he is 100%. And Devin, you think about what Tampa Bay had to do moving forward. They bring in Jordan Scarlett, Forrest Lasso, Aaron Guillen to shore up the 3-back. They add some pieces, Dalgard, Lakawecki in the wide area. This is a bit of a redone defense, but one that ultimately feels on par with last year's, which was one of the best in the championship. Holpino battling with Scarlett, the former Red Bull 2 player. Play continues. There's a handball against Scarlett, who thought the whistle was going to come.
Unless we forget that mid-season acquisition of Alex Davey coming over from Hartford Athletic, Mustafa Dabuya from Phoenix Rising. Not in the 18 tonight, but a much deeper Tampa Bay Rowdies team than we saw in 2019. That's something that you have to really keep an eye on as this league continues to grow. So much knowledge from the coaches and players, but now you have the luxury of moving that bench. You're not looking at, 7 quality starters. You can push your 11 into 14, 16 deep with a quality bench approaching 23 to 25. Much different from years past.
It's a fifth third free kick. Jimenez steps, but it's Del Piccolo winding this through. Forrest Lasso climbs a ladder and sends that away. Corner. Corner kicks presented by Single Point Solutions. In your corner with superior customer support, Single Point Solutions. Jimenez. Nothing doing there. Further by Guenzotti. Throw Louisville. Steinberger. Back by Dalgard. Scarlett. There's going to be a whistle there. Zakra going down. Jan Ekra goes to work. Away by Tosh. Ekra turns that over. McMahon struck right on to Ombi. Del Piccolo. McMahon. John Hackworth said he was intrigued, perhaps fascinated to see how Tampa Bay would choose to press Louisville in this game.
You notice already, I mentioned the high line of Zach Steinberger, and what it does is it pushes him up onto Speedy Williams. They're not allowing Speedy Williams to be that distributor coming out of the midfield. Loves to spray these balls left and right, especially from a deep lying roll. Controls the tempo when they don't use the wings immediately. Neil Collins not willing to secede that, so he's pushed Steinberger high, and that pushes Guenzotti out to the left, Tejada out to the right, and you still retain the defensive presence in the midfield behind of Jan Ekra. Interesting to note, though, Mike, when Steinberger does step up that high, especially because he likes to favor the right-hand side, there is this pocket of space of about 15 yards or so, which will be accustomed to the left. That's where Del Piccolo, Bone, Opino, and Jimenez have to keep their head on a swivel. You take a quick little look, because it's going to close rapidly.
Back heel from Jimenez, seeking out Holpino. To your earlier point, Speedy Williams leads the USL Championship in passes attempted and completed. John Hackworth coaching from the touchline, third season in total, but his second is with the club from the jump. Louisville last year reaching the final. A wild conference final against Indy 11 that went to the final seconds of extra time, before eventually falling 3-1 to Real Monarchs. Slide in there. This will stay in through the pressure of Speedy Williams. Lancaster dummies it through. Ownby off the back of Lasso. Knocked across again by Williams. Lasso, another deflection. One of the USL Championship's best defenders. Corner Louisville.
Watch how quickly the Rowdies recover as well, Mike, because even though Aaron Guillen gets caught on the outside after the tackler from Speedy Williams, everybody drops back so that when it does make its way across Cameron Lancaster, even though Brian Ownby is there, you then have 4 in those yellow and green jerseys that have gotten back into a negative position, sitting right in front of the ball in case a strike does come off.
Ball whipped across. It's Lasso again, who has free reign over the box. All these set pieces, it seems. Ownby sends it wide. Driven over the top again. Big collision. Del Piccolo kept this in. Crosses back post. That appeared to ricochet. Came out to Dalgard. 15th minute. If you tuned in a tad late, you missed sure to be a tremendous surprise. The way Louisville City has performed in first halves of games of late. Zach Steinberger in the 4th minute. And I think when you think about the Tampa Bay Rowdies, Devin, they somewhat flew under the radar given how well they played at the start of the year. They had that, again, incredible unbeaten streak to start 2020, just as they did 2019. Neil Collins continuing to add talent to this roster. Shouldn't really surprise anybody that they're here, nor that they're ready to compete. They don't mind the underdog label. They almost embrace it.
Especially when it comes to the matchup against Louisville City. They felt a little bit more slighted by it, to be honest, when it came to the matchup against the Charleston Battery. But when you look at the overall product heading into that matchup against Mike Anhauser's squad, you lose 3 in a row, everybody's going to go, well, you think the Battery could probably do it again. It was a fantastic match, I'll say it. It was one of those ones that coming out of it, it was almost difficult to say that anyone could have really taken the reins and deserved to win that match. Rowdies were definitely the better team, but more importantly, they understood the mistakes they made from previous matches. They got more physical, Mike. That was the key component. You have to find a way to knock your opponent off of their best attributes. They did that against the Battery, and starting here against Louisville City, they're doing the same thing.
Lasso cleans out Lancaster, and with 3 fingers up, it appears John Freeman is made clear. Lasso get a card next time for persistent infringement. Turned over high up the field. 3 entering the box. This played low to the back post and off target. That deflected on the way. It is a corner for Tampa Bay. There's some big bodies for Tampa Bay. Forrest Lasso has to be chief among them. 3 goals this year. Only scored 1 in Nashville a year ago. Steinberger. There's Lunt. That was a whistle as well. Since 1947, Select has been the leader in soccer ball quality and innovation. Select is the official ball supplier of the USL Championship and many of the elite leagues throughout Europe. For the latest Select products and special offers, visit selectsportamerica.com. Dalgard. Tejada. Wild hair flaring up behind him. 23-year-old. Played at IMG Academy, went through Eckerd College. Been a spark plug for Tampa Bay now for 2 years. Attack coming in from the wide area through Fernandez. This knocked across, seeking Steinberger, again making that run out of midfield.
Some fond memories at Eckerd College. My brother went there, actually, and you know, they used to have the best soft serve ice cream machine. let me tell you. 1 or 2 times ventured off there at my summer soccer camps just to test the machine out.
Do you think Tejada knows that?
Oh, he knows.
Okay.
He knows for sure.
Okay.
It's a little bit different since they were in the late 90s, early 2000s, but the machine always stays consistent. Heard they even upgraded to the self-swirl. It's always nice.
Scarlett had a little bit of a hitch in his step coming off that. We'll see if that proves to be an issue. He's played every minute this year for the Rowdies. Omby. Hopino. Bypassing Guinzotti. And Tejada was able to link up. Here's Steinberger once more.
And they're really doing a fantastic job bypassing the initial line of pressure and then slowing things down to the way that they want to.
Tejada trying to swing the shot in. Falls. Ekra. Ekra, deflection, moves out wide and beyond the reach of Loon. A Tampa Bay corner, 20 minutes in.
Let's see what they decide to do this time around. They will give you different looks with those big men you were referencing before. Lasso seems to be more often than not, he's the rotational piece to the back post with Jordan Scarlett coming to the near, along with Aaron Guillen. But every now and then, you'll see a quick little switch, and that'll end up with Lasso on the near post. Again, you see him starting to take shape already on that backside. Ben Lute's got to keep an eye there. When they go this long ball back up over the top, he always comes for this redirect across the 6.
Corner, Rowdies. Bouncing, gets all the way to the back post, and Tosh fires it skyward. And this sent into the Estolpanol end. More closed end of Lynn Family Stadium. Well, Tejada was inside the 18 there. Louisville fires this forward. Not a battle you're going to win much with Forrest Lasso. Tapped ahead toward Guinzotti. Bone finds the wide area, and perhaps Louisville's caught the Rowdies out here. Hopino. Hopino. A lot of set pieces early in this game, Devin. Another corner.
And in the run of play, the decision-making just has to be faster here by Antoine Hopino. Understand that you're going in transitional play, but the way that they're dropping in midfield, Jan Ekra, Jordan Doherty, he's got himself in a 1v1 on that left-hand side, but more importantly, the space for the trailing run with Del Piccolo and Corbone has been closed down. So the ball coming square back across is basically a 1v3 for Cameron Lancaster. Really difficult to take there. You make the decision earlier, or you pull it back quicker and utilize that space in the middle. It's a much better look for Lou City.
Corner. Laurel came out. Tejada drives it away. All right, not enough talk about Evan Laurel, and to be frank, I've probably felt that way for a long time. The Rowdies goalkeeper stepping in after John McCarthy went to Inter Miami. McCarthy actually got the start today for Inter Miami against Orlando. Has started every game this season for Tampa Bay. There's 8 clean sheets coming over from New York Red Bulls too. Pushed up by Speedy Williams. Is a foul by Tejada. So, Devin, what do you want to see Louisville do differently? Is it simply playing at the pace that we've seen over the course the past month and a half to try and break this Rowdies team down better?
Some of it's right there is with Corbin Bone dropping a bit more. I actually think that there's possibly a lack of communication, or at least an idea of what they're trying to do with the 2 midfielders in Corbin Bone and Del Piccolo. If you keep an eye on them, with as deep as Speedy Williams comes, and right now you can see really deep in the defensive shape, they're actually almost pushed up too high. So they're trying to get involved in that quick movement we talk about going forward, but then there ends up being this 20-yard gap where there's no link-up play. More often than not, what we do see is Speedy Williams, then a step up 5-10 yards, then another step, and that link's not there anymore. So if you're Speedy, you've got to have a word with them and say, boys, I need a little help here. if we're going to start to go in transition, you have to give me the opportunity to put the pieces together. Everything can't be this quick ball outside and then running downhill. One look here and there, absolutely. If you want to challenge the Rowdies a few times, for sure. But play after play, it's not going to work.
Tosh. Tosh orchestrating. Corbin Bone who slashes across. Holpino. Bone reverses. Look at how pinched in Oscar Jimenez is in that moment. Here's Louisville's gotten out of the finger trap for a moment. Ownby. Rowdies winless in 4 tries in Louisville, but they've never gotten a chance to play here. All 4 meetings were at Louisville's Slugger Field. Louisville 1-3, drew 1.
A little different here.
Yeah?
a little different here.
Jimenez slips this down into the channel. Holpino crossing. Lancaster nearly got by Ownby. That's the goal you tell your kids about. Floated up again for Del Piccolo. Nodded back. Jimenez settles, tries to attack the ball. Pops out to Tejada. Tejada down. Somehow, play allowed to continue. Holpino allows this through. Del Piccolo tracking further and further in, and Ekra drives this out.
It's a pretty magnificent spell of possession for Louisville City. Notice they just bide their time, makes its way all the way back over to this near-sided channel. Cameron Lancaster trying to pull off the spectacular. Falls just short, but this is much better from Lou City. Stepping on the ball, there's an intent with their actions. And notice, they're willing to usher it side to side. We know that the Tampa Bay Rowdies will give them that. But where is the rotation going to come from? You're already seeing Corbin Bone coming a bit deeper. We asked for that. Good inversion by Oscar Jimenez. But then he's quick to then pull the trigger on the outside and find the talented Antoine Opino down on the wings. Now you look for the balance, both left and right.
Lancaster. Lancaster tried to slide that through. Back to Lancaster once more. Bypasses Ekra. Into the wide area, McMahon gave it away. Fernandez. Whistle here. That was McMahon.
It's a pretty rough challenge on Leo Fernandez on that far side.
A lot of turf came up on that. It is a rolled and beer yellow card to Pat McMahon.
I was a bit surprised that he didn't pull it sooner, but watch, he comes in really late here. That's a dangerous tackle on Leo Fernandez. As mentioned, coming back in the starting 11 for the first time in quite a while. Come off the bench both 2 matches. Been pretty influential as well. And we talked about what you need out of Lou City. Even though you're Rowdies, Mike, and you're sitting on a 1-0 lead, just keep an eye here as he's still down. They've started to fall off tempo here a little bit. That's okay, but notice when they try and relieve some of the pressure coming off the back line as Jordan Scarlett was down previously, there's no real outlet. Juan Tejada was so deep a second ago that when he looked up, he didn't have that long ball to try and get any sort of stretching here. There's no hold-up play, and you can't bring the pressure off the back line. So basically, you're constantly asking the back 3 not only to shift their shape, but stay marked. Mentally, that's really taxing. And to stay in this, again, even up a goal, you've got to find a way to relieve some of the pressure on your back 3.
Well, the crowd's booing here. The athletic trainer came out to look at Fernandez. He said, I didn't need any help getting up. So the athletic trainer went all the way around. Meanwhile, Scarlett is stretching out his left leg over on the team bench. So Fernandez does not need to come out in this moment, but Scarlett will eventually have to be allowed back in by the referee. It is a free kick for Tampa Bay here in the 29th minute. It is Leo Fernandez. Nodded away. Struck by Dalgard. Out to Lasso. Crowd hooting and hollering. Out over Bone and all the way out. We're in the 29th minute. Zach Steinberger in the 4th minute. Winner of this will host the USL Championship Final, the first game ever on ESPN for the USL Championship. It's also on ESPN Deportes and Sirius XM FC. Next Sunday night, 8:30 Eastern time. Right now it'll be at Al Lang Stadium. There's a yellow card to Lasso, and that may play prominently moving forward. Only his 4th yellow this season.
Well, his argument is that he gets the ball, but the problem is the touch comes off of Lancaster. Looks like he got a bigger touch here. And watch the left thigh of Cameron Lancaster. Absolutely thrashed. It is a foul for sure, and I don't blame the referee for trying to take care of the striker here. A lot of force behind it. Forrest Lasso doesn't agree. I have to really argue that one. I feel like it is the right decision by the refereeing crew.
Yellow card brought to you by World of Beer. Lancaster being looked at. And Devin, you think about Cameron Lancaster and his history with injury. It was, well, Matt Fondy was setting the league record the first year of Louisville City's existence for goals scored in the championship, that he was sitting on the bench with a torn ACL. He missed the 2018 final. Luke Spencer scored the game winner in that one due to a hamstring injury. He was hamstrung in Nashville last year. A lot of soft muscle injuries that, for a guy with a world of talent, has been frustrating.
To be fair, even on that 25-goal regular season performance we saw in 2018, he picked up a lot of injuries there. Now was able to play through them, but, you know, pulled calf, pulled hamstring, little contusion on the quad. He had a separated shoulder at one point in time and still found a way to push through it. When healthy, probably one of the best in the league to get it done. And the problem is keeping him at that level.
We've reached a hydration break here. Tampa Bay is suddenly the region of champions in St. Pete and Tampa. This is from Steven Stamkos back on October the 18th. You good? They had a parade by way of boat after the Stanley Cup was raised. By the way, Doc Emmerich, congratulations on your retirement with one last great Stanley Cup call. And all of a sudden, the Rays are in the World Series. Stu Sternberg owns both the Rays and the Rowdies now. The Rowdies are in the Eastern Conference Final, and there's that guy TB12 playing for the Bucks too. But
Got
he's
another
not.
weapon.
Yeah, we're not worried about that yet. What's in the water, Devin?
Yeah, there's a lot in the water. But more importantly, what was Zach Steinberger drinking at the start of this match? Because this is a spectacular start for the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Again, level of difficulty off the charts. Watch the run to his left, off his left foot, redirect across the body, still beats Ben Luton near post. It's a really difficult take. Fantastic opening goal for the Tampa Bay Rowdies. They haven't necessarily been able to replicate that opening form, hitting here at the 32nd minute, but they are in the driver's seat. And how about that record, Mike? Undefeated, 11-0-0 when scoring first this season.
Now, Jordan Scarlett may have come out here a moment ago during that hydration break. Max Lakowecki, who had been starting in a wing position, has come on for Tampa Bay. So they've used their first substitute and their first window. Allowed 4 more subs and 2 more windows plus halftime. 1 more in extra time as well. So something to keep in mind. Williams sends this into the wide area. And this gets out. There's Lakowecki standing by the ball. Former Notre Dame player, played with Neil Collins, took a hiatus in 2019, but called in October, said, I really missed the games. And Neil Collins said it wouldn't just be anybody he allowed back on the team, but this guy, this character, worth bringing back into the fold.
He can play, no doubt about it. Remember, he was part of one of those brilliant Mark Briggs' squads for the Real Monarchs back in 2017. What you'll get out of him, watch, it's not going to be as flashy, not as much of a physical presence that you get out of Jordan Scarlett on the attacking side. But watch, he's very simplistic in nature. Does all the simple things nice and easy. He gives his team an opportunity to get in the right place at the right time. Every now and then he'll try and push himself forward a little bit, as Neil Collins will allow Aaron Guillen and, of course, the former right back Jordan Scarlett to do. The key question here for Lakowecki is he's primarily used to playing as a left-sided player. So you wonder how much that plays into it and how quickly Lou City look to attack it.
The Rowdies entered with 3 players who have gone every minute so far this year. The goalkeeper, Evan Loro, and then Guillen and Jordan Scarlett on either side of Forrest Lasso, who himself only missed about 2.7% of the minutes. So that back 3 has been together for over 97% of the season. Now have to change in this Eastern Conference final. Omby goes sliding in, got the ball and the player. And player still down for the Rowdies. Aaron Guillen there. Mentioned he's one of those guys who's gone every minute so far in 2020. The other standing right next to the ball, there's Scarlett. His day is done. Devin, in such a tumultuous year for everybody in such a wide swath of ways, to be able to play every minute of the season thus far has been simply staggering. I think even Neil Collins was surprised to hear that those 3 had played 97% of the season together.
It's a really difficult thing to accomplish in any year, as you mentioned, though, given the variables at play, even more so. You just sort of wonder how he's going to be. He's such a strong presence on that back line, and he's not one to just step off in the manner that he did. So cause for concern for sure. Thoughts with him and a speedy recovery in whatever it may be.
Out to Dalgard in Hartford last year. A lengthy stint in Oklahoma City playing for Jimmy Nielsen. That was the first time he had left Denmark. In steps Jimenez. A simple pass out of pressure from Speedy Williams, who's dropped between the center backs entirely. Lasso, a strong-willed header. Jan Ekra. Dalgard. Sawahi for Bone. Rowdies off to their best start in the modern era this year. It's a team that's gotten rid of that road-losing bugaboo really ever since Neil Collins took the helm mid-season, retiring as a center back to manage the side. They're away to Louisville, where they have never won in this Eastern Conference final. They win today, they would host at Al Lang Stadium the winner of El Paso and Phoenix, a game that played tonight 10:30 Eastern on ESPN Plus in the USL Championship final November 1st on ESPN. Tejada. Offside flag was up. The second season in League One history comes to a conclusion Friday, October 30th, 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Plus, ESPN Deportes, and SiriusXM FC Channel 157. John Harkes and Greenville Triumph make their second straight appearance in the final. Their opponents to be determined. League One final Friday, October 30th. Guenzati is going into the book for that tackle. Card brought to you by World of Beer.
Another quality,
Dalgard.
Another quality squad from John Harkes. About 11 wins from 16 games.
Yeah.
9 shutouts.
That's just a Harksian campaign by any stretch of the imagination. Former head coach at FC Cincinnati, and of course, phenomenal player for the U.S. men's national team. Oh, great read. Stepping forward, Bone. Bone looking, firing, and Laurel parries this out for a corner. Corbin Bone, who's been on a goal-scoring binge this year, 6 on the season, nearly.
He has to let this develop as well as he pump fakes the first time. Feels like he's going to get a good look, but then there's a lovely little step across from the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Great closure by Aaron Guillen. Watch Forrest Lasso just hold things up here. He recognizes that he has to draw the run of Brian Ownby, but he cannot step immediately because there'll be too much space and then he'll be open behind him. That's how good the Rowdies are in recovery for that back three.
Corbin Bone, a former John Hart's disciple in Cincinnati. Corner for Jimenez. The whistle blew, and Louisville will take this again. And it's possible now, with the frustration bubbling over from the benches, Louisville may have to come up with another idea. Jimenez. There's Laurel, sure-handed. Speared down to Dalgard. Termed an unsung hero this year. Dalgard curling the service. Referee waving for a goal kick. Winzati's making his argument. Lancaster into the pocket again. That's something you highlighted at the outset, Devin.
He was successful to start, but notice as he drops in right now, there's a lot of respect being given to the flanks of Louisville City. So that quick little drop in, a lot of times you'll see him step, look over the shoulder, and try and go the other direction. Just now, it's exactly how it plays out. The problem is when he goes to the left, it's already locked down because Leo Fernandez has come all the way back. So he can't hit that 40-yard ball to the opposite side to Brian Ownby. Has to still pay up. You have to find the feet of Speedy Williams and then start back over. The good news is they're not panicking by any means. They're doing a really good job of just taking what's available to them at this point in time. But they're going to have to shift here again because it's a great defensive effort being put in by the midfield three. That's been the key so far. I mentioned the triumvirate coming in, Mike. They've been spectacular. Jordan Doherty, Jan Eckera, and Zach Steinberger have really shut down the engine room for Lou City so far.
Bone. Williams for McMahon. The rotation right now feels wild.
Look at the 11 as well. I mean, you've got all 11 for the Tampa Bay Rowdies compacted into about 45 yards right now. It's almost impossible for Lou City to break down. You have to really draw them out at this point in time. Accept some pressure, challenge them to come chase a little bit, because when they sit like this, you have to be on the offensive and you have to push yourself to beat someone in 1v1 and 1v2 situations.
Jimenez circumnavigates backwards. You saw the possession number. So far, this appears, Devin, to the layman as a game plan executed to perfection by Tampa Bay. Neil Collins got the opportunity through Bill Edwards, the longtime owner of the Rowdies, before Stu Sternberg took over, to leave the playing field. Bone in an offside position. Scottish-born head coach, the blogging footballer while he was playing, Neil Collins. 67 games at center back for Tampa Bay, but before that, a wonderful career. Leeds, Wolves, Sheffield United, Sunderland. Said the opportunity was too good to pass up. He had already earned a coaching license, knowing that perhaps this was his future. So far, so good for Neil Collins here in Louisville tonight. And a big fan of Iron Brew, we're told.
It's the word on the street, right?
I had never heard of it.
Well, I think the more important thing is here is, yeah, you had never heard of it. No. The more important thing is every person that you ask about the taste gives you a different answer. Liquid gold, if I'm not mistaken, was what Neil Collins. And I said, no, really, what does it taste like? He said, Devin, no, it literally tastes like liquid gold. we had a quick laugh. Bubblegum was one.
Our producer, Sharni Yerke, born in the UK.
Yeah. Give her credit.
Suggested, yeah, bubblegum.
Neil wasn't having that.
No, not at all.
Yeah, as politely as he could. Sharni, I have to respectfully decline on your comment, and I don't necessarily think it tastes like bubble gum, but if that's what you see, that's fine.
Jimenez teed this up, sends it out. Now it is available at certain supermarkets in the Tampa Bay area, which means if we end up at Al Lang next week, I have a sneaking suspicion we're going to go find it.
Oh, yeah. We're filming that 3 on the slides.
But Neil Collins
sure.
Admitted it doesn't taste quite the same here in the States. It gets imported through one supplier in Virginia that actually has the right to import the Iron Brew into the States.
The products are different. I can remember asking for care packages when I was in Germany. Gatorade tastes different over there. You know, there are certain things from home that you have to get from the source directly. You know, remove the third party, you'll feel a lot better.
Come to learn bourbon tastes about the same no matter where you get it, however. That's what makes trips to Louisville a little bit different for these finals over the last 3 years. Closing in on first half stoppage. Coming up at the half, we'll preview the Western Conference Final, the roads that El Paso and Phoenix took. That game tonight in Scottsdale, Arizona on ESPN+. Be shortly after the conclusion of this game. Lasso. Driven forward to Lunt. Busy first half here as we enter stoppage time. It's presented by Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport. Guinzotti. Dalgard. Room to get the service through. Tejada gave chase. Out to Bone. Knotted out wide by Doherty. It's Doherty again. Came in on loan. Connection with Sheffield United. Irish Youth International is slotted right into midfield. Still the tender age of 20 years old. He was critical last year at 19 years old. Lunt. Oh, Steinberger took that the distance. Dev, what changes for Louisville at halftime in your mind?
You still have to find a way to get this midfield more active. Looking at all the metrics of what's going on, they've been really efficient on the ball for sure, but there's not enough movement. I should say distribution is probably the better word to use there, into the foot of Corbin Bone. You know, the way that you run this double pivot on top of the triangle for Del Piccolo and Corbin Bone in front of Speedy Williams, those are your attacking playmakers coming out of the midfield. He's touched the ball 11 times. That's just not enough in 45 minutes. John Hackworth would be the first to tell you, and when you go back to the start where they struggled out of the gate and then started this brilliant run of form, he said, we got to find a way to get Corbin Bone in a more attacking movement. They benefited from that. Not tonight.
Dalgard. Dalgard all the way. Lunt save. Knock back. Lunt back toward the line. It squirts in. Rowdies by 2. It's Guinzotti on the doorstep. And they have silenced Lynn Family Stadium.
This is proper pressure from the Tampa Bay Rowdies, Mike. Using proper width of this massive field. That is Lynn Family Stadium. We said it was different than Slugger. They have the luxury of getting the likes of Leo Fernandez and Sebastian Dalgard running downhill. You get into a 1v1. It is not often that you get the best of Oscar Jimenez. The first dance doesn't come through. The second one, neither. But you continue to persevere. The fox in the box gets in front. That's Juan Tejada in front of Lunt. Guinzotti comes back across and puts him out in front by 2.
Right on the stroke of halftime. A gut punch for Louisville City. For the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Their only concern has to be holding a 2-goal lead against Birmingham, giving it away, and then scoring again quick succession in a 4-2 win. Only twice in the last 6 seasons has a team come back from 2 goals down to advance. The miracle at Bonnie in Sacramento, and last week, Phoenix Rising past Reno. And we are off to halftime, and the Rowdies, an exceedingly impressive record when they do lead at the break.
You're going to walk into a dressing room if you're a Lou City player and just say, boys, look, we had the better run of play for about 30, 35 minutes. We have nothing to show for it. You're still in this game, you're capable, but the uphill battle now becomes against Evan Laurel and that quality back line. Neil Collins will look at his boys and say, guys, we're halfway there. Let's go get it done.
The opening whistle, nobody saw this coming. The Rowdies, an impressive start. Next up, the Passport Health Plan halftime report from Louisville. Rowdies ahead by 2 in the Eastern Conference Final.
Let's go places.
Tom and I just walked through the house today. It may look like just studs, wires, and pipes, but it's ours. Our home. And it's all thanks to you. I just wanted to send you a note to say thank you for everything you did to make this dream, our extraordinary dream, come true.
At Commonwealth Credit Union, dreams become reality every day with full home lending. Commonwealth Credit Union. Here, we see you differently.
Happy birthday!
Let loose after a hard-working day.
Oh, great. Is it Wabbit season again?
On WBKI's Happy Hour. With 6 o'clock Last Man Standing, followed by 7 o'clock Modern Family. And 7:30 Big Bang Theory.
I believe I've isolated the algorithm from making friends. Could open a booth at Comic-Con, make a fortune.
Well shaken, never dry. Mixed with big laughs. That's WBKI's Happy Hour.
Another morning in Louisville. A new start each time, rain or shine. Where new goals are set and success comes with sweat. Families are launched, ovens are fired up, tables are turned, and kids are ready to learn. Mornings are more than a start, but it's already a part of your day. So get up, get out there. Find your morning with WDRB.
Welcome back to the Passport Health Plan halftime report. In this Eastern Conference Final, Louisville City hosting the Tampa Bay Rowdies. With Devin Kerr, Mike Watts, we're done with dishes. No more dish. Here's a look at the bracket, however, and there were some tasty matchups in the lead up to this. In the end, it's group champions all around in the Final Four.
Let's start with the most recent fixtures, though, Mike. Phoenix Rising coming off that fantastic win at Reno, 1868. Everybody felt like this was going to be Reno's year, myself included. Pleasant surprise for Phoenix. Highly contested against New Mexico United for El Paso Locomotive. Love what they were able to do there. But you have to track back to the opening round. Remember, San Antonio FC, the darlings of the West, unbeaten for all those games, bounced in the first round.
Devin, let's preview what's coming up in the Western Conference Final. It airs on ESPN Plus tonight, 10:30 Eastern Time. A lot of eyes, I'm sure, on Solomon Asante and others.
Had to battle back here. Phoenix Rising going down 2-0. Solomon Asante gets them even. Zach Lubin from the spot. Fantastic save. Rufat Dadashov is the decisive penalty that puts them into the Western Conference Final. Fantastically taken by their number 9.
So Phoenix Rising goes away to Reno, knocks off the number 1 overall seed in the Western Conference, and move on to their second ever Western Conference Final. Meanwhile, second final in 2 years for El Paso.
They did everything they could to try and see this thing out. Dylan Maris from the 30th minute. Fantastic. Look at the individual brilliance. Upper 90, all by his lonesome self, the attacking midfielder. Romeo Parks, of course, would get the game tire in the 95th minute, and then we go to penalties. The save by Ketterer, that's been a story pretty much every single time he steps on for El Paso Locomotive. Distel Zola from the spot.
Here's a look at the storylines around the Western Conference Final tonight. Again, it airs 10:30 Eastern Time on ESPN+. El Paso, like Louisville, enter on 13 games unbeaten. If Louisville or El Paso win the title, it would be the longest unbeaten streak, leading to lifting the trophy. For Phoenix, look to go to their second final after losing to Louisville in 2018. We have more of the Passport Health Plan halftime report here in Louisville. We're at the break between Tampa Bay and Lou City in the Eastern Conference Final.
What a beauty! It's fantastic! Sensational! Fantastic! Any way you slice it. This one he puts away, fires and scores! What an unbelievable strike. Oh, what a goal!
There's the shot, it scores! Attacking, shooting, and scoring!
Takes a shot, and it's in the back of the net. And a diving stop. Looks the goal, shoots it! Unbelievable!
Save made.
Unbelievable! Makes the save.
Oh, what a goal! Knocked away.
It's in the back of the net. What a goal there!
And pushed aside.
What a save in the end!
The United Soccer League and its 47th championship in League One clubs stand united in support of diversity, inclusivity, equality, and compassion. Together, we can make a difference. Together, we can create change. Together, we are united against racism.
Welcome back to the Passport Health Plan halftime report. Rowdies 2, Louisville City 0 with Devin Kerr. Mike Watts, let's catch you up with what's going on around the USL Championship as we are in conference final week. John Hackworth named September Coach of the Month. Devin en route to the final. However, now he has to come up with his best coaching performance.
En route to the helm of Phoenix Rising will be Rick Schantz. He is back, of course, as he's been reinstated. He will be there tonight. Quality support by Colin Martin put out. Really quality relationship, we should say, that they've done to see that thing out. And how about this? First time ever, Mike, the mothership cometh for both you and I. We'll get to do that on November 1st, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's what ET stands for, right?
Yeah, and a player to be named later on the sideline. Wait for that. Let's remind you what 538 said coming into the restart, entering the playoffs. The Rowdies numbers, I'm sure, have exponentially risen.
16%. Everybody in Tampa's gone, aha, we got to get to the bookies quick. 16, they've jumped up to like 70 at this point in time. But no, it gives you a true idea of what these teams' identities were before, where they're at now. Of course, Lou City hedged their bets. They've gotten a lot better. 13 games unbeaten mentioned coming in. 8 wins in a row to the tune of 11-0-2. But they've got some work to be done. Phoenix Rising as well, back in the Western Conference Final, hosting for the first time.
For those who wanted to wager a bet on the Rowdies, this is the very definition of a day late and a buck short. Rowdies 2, Louisville City 0. First half highlights, stats, and more when we return to Kentucky.
Legendary.
During the Today's the Day event, lease a new 2020 Tacoma SR Double Cab for $179 a month, or get big customer cash on Tacoma, 4Runner, and Tundra up to $2,250. Toyota, let's go places.
She's been in
speech therapy since she was 3, and they couldn't diagnose what was wrong with her. We went to a specialist, and she has some processing problems. The COSER Kids program help us with pretty much everything. The hearing aids and the FM system, she improved like almost 50%. Once you apply the system is really easy. You go online and put all the information. Now I know that she can. I know that she's destined to do great things. COSER Charities has given my daughter the opportunity to reach her full potential on everything.
To apply for assistance or to support the COSER Kids program, go to coser.org/kids.
My name is Alex Thomas, and I am a third-generation owner-operator of Thomas Car Wash.
Eli Thomas. I'm second-generation Thomas Car Wash. We were founded in 1946. My father and my uncle, they hand-washed. I started in, when we were 8 and 9 years old. We'd come home from school, my father would call, tell us to come and do front and back bumpers. We could barely reach the bumper, but he wanted us working early. We're still with it, me and my brother and my son. We've been around for, 70-something years. Gotta be doing something right.
Thanks for watching the Passport Health Plan halftime report. A look outside Lynn Family Stadium in the Butchertown district of Louisville, Kentucky. Tampa Bay 2, Louisville 0 with Devin Kerr, Mike Watts in this Eastern Conference final. A very early goal to start our highlights. Zach Steinberger's first of the year couldn't have come at a better time.
It's something that you normally don't see from the Tampa Bay Rowdies in terms of the quick start. The opening 10-15 minutes, as we mentioned, defensively have really struggled. But recognize this, offensively, this is only the 4th time in the entire season that they've scored a goal in the opening 10 minutes. First one comes from Zach Steinberger. That's his first goal of 2020. Nice to see that. And then the pace really starts to open up. Lou City starts to counterpunch. They go the other direction. Nice rotation here. Antoine Opino trying to replicate what Zach Steinberger did. This time he goes the aerial route. Cannot pick out that near post run.
Move ahead to the 39th minute of play. And a takeaway by Corbin Bone. He didn't touch the ball enough in the first half.
Definitely not, but watch the back line. The Rowdies have been so good here, and it's a great job for Corbin Bone to take advantage of the space and able to get a strike up. Forrest Lasso just holds serve in the middle. He allows the run on the right side to come back in, and he knows he's getting help on the weak side from Eric Guillen. That way, it just comes from a strike about 20 yards out. That gets pushed to the side, and then the death mark right before halftime. The Tampa Bay Rowdies get their second of the night. Look at all the bodies in the box for the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Oscar Jimenez gets turned around. Lexi Suwahi has to come over. He has to sell out early because it's actually really smart by Dalgard that he doesn't continue forth. He pulls the trigger. Juan Tejada, Gwen Zotti, Steinberger, everybody's in the box there to help out. Gwen Zotti grabs another goal, puts them out in front by 2.
Stats are brought to you by Park Community Credit Union, the official credit union of Louisville City FC. And the Rowdies don't care about possession. That was never the plan.
No, and you always knew that they were going to get opportunities in the final third. The key question was going to be, what was the midfield 3, number 1, going to look like? More importantly, number 2, what sort of performance were they going to put in? That's possibly the best 45 minutes that they put in so far this year. Now, second half, it's going to be a long one. It's going to be a heck of a shift. But understand this, you're going to have to change your look again. You've seen Jordan Doherty step. Then there's a ladder step to Ekra, and then Steinberger up top. That's a good look. But Lou City, John Hackworth, Danny Cruz, they're too good tactically to give you the same look over and over. Speedy Williams will have to start to evolve, and you have to get Bone and Del Piccolo on the ball more to have success.
Napo Masoso coming in. We know how it started. We don't know how it's going. We will find out when Masoso makes his impact. Can play in any variety of positions. We've seen that over the course of the year. And take a look at this. Devin, you found this, huh? Yikes.
Oh, look at that. Good for him. A little puppy love. Buddy, I think he's bigger than you now. Bought a puppy, end up getting a horse. I know the feeling, man. Trust me. Your food bill is more for them than it is for yourself. Great stuff from Napo Masoso. Thanks for the share, bud.
Went to St. Francis High School in Louisville, on to the University of Kentucky, and now all eyes on him as he tries to adjust the flow of this game. Pat McMahon came out at the break. He's playing on a yellow card, and Louisville's going to try and speed this up going forward. Applause now within Lynn Family Stadium for the frontline heroes. Doctors, nurses, first responders have helped keep us safe during this COVID-19 pandemic, which has marred the year 2020. Truly the best among us. Referee checks his watch. Here we go, second half. Can the Rowdies maintain their 2-goal lead and reach their first USL Championship final? It would happen next Sunday night at Al Lang Stadium under the lights in St. Petersburg. Sunday, November 1st, 8:30 kickoff on ESPN. Will Lou City get back to their 4th straight final, host yet again? It would be perhaps their most miraculous masterclass performance, perhaps in franchise history, if they were to do so. Tosh orchestrates. Going to be real interested, Devin, to see tactically how Masoso coming in changes the dynamic here for Louisville City in need of 2 goals.
We've spoken at length with front office organization, coaching staff, players of how they tend to shift and things start to move around. You wonder immediately if it's going to be a quick little look at 3, or if you're just going to keep that right side open for Napo Masoso and they drop him in to give you a bit more of an added presence on the right side. I actually feel like they didn't have enough on the left in games past. You know, there was a tendency to utilize Oscar Jimenez and Antoine Openo. That wasn't the case in the first half. A lot of that boils down to the inability to really connect through the midfield and go side to side. They were able to do it, but the problem is you had to rotate all the way through the back line. And then when you did spray it outside, the option had already closed itself down.
Speedy Williams bypasses Masoso. Ownby crossing, Lancaster's there, bounces in front and in! The Rowdies give one back to Louisville City. It's Lakawecki, an own goal. And is that the spark for Louisville at home to turn this thing around in the Eastern Conference Final?
Much like the second goal last time out against St. Louis FC, it's just a physical presence on the back post. Luke Spencer was the one last time. Cameron Lancaster trying to get on the end of it. He just screens Lakawecki, watches the ball comes back across. Right there, hesitation, down off the thigh, into the back of the net. Lou City out and running. You cannot ask for a better start if you're John Hackworth and co.
Well, I'm not sure quite that this is how this read is supposed to go, but that goal is presented by Kentucky Lottery, fueling imagination, funding education, the Kentucky Lottery. And it almost exceeds the imagination that an own goal that early on. It was a Lakawecki header that went off of Forrest Lasso and into the net. Has given Louisville a lifeline. This is a Rowdies team. It's perhaps under pressure now as Holpino swung it in. Playing out of the smoky end of the field now. Tejada tried to hold up play. Back to Guillen. Mentioned it right before the break. In 2014, expansion side, Sacramento Republic, a hat trick from Rodrigo Lopez, who would more or less off that performance and the performance that year end up in Liga MX. For Sacramento Republic, a second half hat trick to come back from 2 goals down. In the Western Conference Final against LA Galaxy 2.
Mike, you also talked about the performance of Birmingham Legion just 2 weeks ago on the road to start this 2020 USL Championship playoffs off.
Holpino's pass deflected back to Williams. Masoso. Ownby gave chase, picks it up against Fernandez. Who touched that last? It's a corner. And Loro swinging his fist forward. He is livid. And I think the Rowdies allowed that out thinking it was a sure goal kick.
This looked like it came off of Brian Ownby. When you get the last touch, it really looks like it came off his right foot. But again, second half, Birmingham Legion. Rowdies weren't poor by any means, but there was about a 15 to 20 minute window 6 minutes of which include goals by Prosper Kasim and Bruno Lapa to allow this game get back to 2-2. Of course, Rowdies would come out on top, but you got to get back in here.
Corner Jimenez. Excellent work by Loro to get that away. You mentioned the 2-goal comeback by Birmingham. That was quickly snuffed out by the Rowdies. Cross again, away from Lancaster. Settled by Guinzotti. And now the foul. Reno and Phoenix went to penalties last week, but Phoenix did advance coming back from a 2-goal deficit. 5 minutes into this second half, and Louisville hopes they're on the comeback trail. They scored nearly as quickly into the second half the Rowdies did into stoppage time in the first.
Just understand for Louisville, most importantly, you get the goal. But outside of that, some of the comments coming out of that dressing room, Mike, are going to be, you have to go out and make a statement. Now, getting the goal is a fantastic thing, but more importantly, there's a higher energy level here. This place was flat going in at halftime. That's not the case anymore. You're starting to hear a lot of the fans starting to get back into it. And now if you can find a way to get some of your playmakers on the ball. We did not see Corbin Bone and Del Piccolo, as we mentioned, but got to find a way to get Antoine Opino, Brian Ownby involved more. They've done that inside 5 minutes. Of course, still 40 to go. And now you wonder, that beautiful rotation that you do see out of Louisville City, does it continue to happen, but in a different way? You know, can you stretch? Will there be another step from your midfield three? Does Speedy Williams have the ability to push this thing side to side while helping out defensively? It's where they've been at their best all season long.
It's a handball against Del Piccolo. To your point about the atmosphere here, we spoke with John Hackworth in the lead up to this game. He thought about the 10th minute penalty save by Ben Lunt in the Eastern Conference semifinal against Wall Fall and St. Louis FC. Said Ben Lunt himself, so in the zone he didn't even hear it. But the groove machine, that drum line behind the goal, was pounding away, and they're back at it now. Guinzotti slips it ahead for Steinberger, and Lunt picks this up. The German goalkeeper who played alongside Morgan Hackworth, the current San Diego Loyal player, and Akron, the son to John Hackworth, Louisville's head coach. So he's had his eye on Ben Lunt now for 5 years. Williams, Louisville continues to go further and further back. Masoso. This portion of tonight's game brought to you by Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport. I say this half in jest, the official airport of the USL Championship final for the last 3 years. Perhaps we're headed to Tampa Airport. Don't sleep on it. If this scoreline holds, Dev, you and I would just drive. That's not.
What's this you thing? I don't think we both need to drive. Maybe, you know, I'll social distance in the back seat, grab myself a couple adult waters. You know, get a limo bus. Why not?
I've been Devin's Uber driver now for final after final. It's not right. He never gives me 5 stars.
Always a tip, though. So, you know, don't forget that.
Yeah, tip, wear a watch. Come on. Guillen throws. Fernandez flicks this back to Hada. There's Tosh. Tosh pursues.
Well done. Look at the play out.
Brilliant. Pone actually just got his feet caught up with John Freeman, the referee, who's begging forgiveness, running up the field. This is a Louisville defense that's been borderline impenetrable in years past in playoff games. Contact here, merely a throw for Louisville City. They're moving quickly still. Jimenez. Jimenez swings this up, seeking out Del Piccolo. Back all the way to Tosh. Guinzotti, a bird circling prey.
And this is what I was talking about, luring the Tampa Bay Rowdies out a little bit, Mike. It allows you to have more space to play with, where you want to come press us, that's fine. Let's see exactly how far we can pull you out to allow some of our more talented individuals to get on the ball, dance a little bit. There's Cameron Lancaster down in the pocket. Corbin Bone starting to stretch things up top.
Hopino bouncing in. Bone cuts this back. Hopino gave chase. It didn't quite reach Cameron Lancaster. Jimenez knocked straight down by Lauro. Evan Lauro may need to come up with one of the better performances in a half in his career. The way Louisville is really starting to get the ball forward better in this second half. Chips down, Williams goes back. Still go back to the lead up to the 2016 and 2017 final. Kate Markgraf, who's now the U.S. Women's National Team General Manager, spoke so highly of Speedy Williams watching film. Knew just how particular he was as a distributor. Meanwhile, this Louisville back line benefiting from Speedy Williams' not only distribution, but ability to stand over the top. In both those games, Speedy Williams critical. 2016 for Red Bulls 2, at the time the best team in league history by almost every measure. And in 2017 and 2018 with Lou City.
Think about that fact. If they can complete their comeback opportunity to go to 5 straight finals, it's pretty impressive. Of course, the pedigree on this Lou City team.
Not all that uncommon.
No, they're not lacking by any means.
It's like saying James Jones has been to a lot of finals. He was LeBron's teammate for a long time. Masoso into the challenge here. Neil Collins asking for a card. Fernandez and Steinberger over the ball. Steinberger threw the early heavy blow, a 4th-minute goal. Winzati in the 3rd minute of first half stoppage. Louisville got a goal back, an own goal in this second half. Floated ball to the back post. Whittles all the way through and into the corner. Sawahi will keep this in. It would have been a throw.
That's a spectacular ball by Fernandez. If you're Lou City, you cannot allow that thing to drop. There's too many bodies that have the ability to go up and get it. Lucky, to be fair, for Lou City that none of the Rowdies players were able to get on the end of it, because Leo Fernandez just serves in some spectacular service, especially from dead ball situations.
Steinberger, good clip backward. Ekra. Fernandez. First sustained possession of this half. Slipped it forward. Ball across to the back post. Sliding in. All it took was a tap. Excellent from Guillen to get that across.
And it does come back to Leo Fernandez. When he steps inside here, Mike, he has the ability. He can challenge Bone. But look at Masoso. The right side right now is struggling a little bit with this rotation. He's in unfamiliar territory at that outside back spot, Napo Masoso, and it shows. Doesn't catch the overlapping run, and the back post tap in just a bit off. That could have easily been 3-1.
Do you consider bringing in a Wes Sharpie
at
some point?
No, not at this point in time. You've already used the sub. You cannot make the defensive move now. If anything, because you were concerned, you could have waited a bit longer and then made that move. But even then, you're still going towards the offensive side of things. The only way that this back line changes in the near future is going to a 3. They have the luxury of it right now. But if they want to go straight forward with it and 100% keep an extra body either occupied in the midfield with the ability to step up or even push a third high in the midfield to carry 2 or 3 up there, that's a look for them. And we've seen it from Lou City before, but they've not been in a position where they're having to come from behind. It's only happened twice this season in terms of allowing the first goal and making their way back in. Of course, the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, they came back and won 3-1, but Louisville City scored that opening goal. Remember, Speedy Williams got that goal. They did it twice. St. Louis FC went up 1-0. That was part of that slow start for Lou City. And then Sporting Kansas City 2, and that 2-1 win at the end of it. Other than that, Lou City has always been in the driver's seat. They've never had to adjust in this manner.
To your point, in the last 9 games, Louisville scored in the first half. That streak ends. They scored the first goal of the game in the last 13. That streak ends. What does that mean for Louisville's 8-match win streak, 13-match unbeaten streak, both of which our longest in North America in professional soccer in the calendar year 2020. The unbeaten streak matched only by El Paso, which is currently still active. They play tonight against Phoenix. Luke Spencer waiting to come on, and here's a moment of truth. I think everyone's waiting to see what number's going on that board.
Well, interestingly enough, Cameron Lancaster looked over and almost gave him a nod like, hey, is this for me? And there is the change that I'm talking about, bringing the center back off, Lexi Sawahi. This will push Lou City 100% into a 3-back with 30 minutes to go. It's a change that we actually saw really close in proximity time-wise in the 2019 final, Mike, against the Real Monarchs. One of the things coming out of that season was they felt like maybe they made the moves too early. The other thing you got to think about is they were also adjusting because Abdou Jean picked up an injury. No injuries here. Still the change, though.
Spencer seeking out Ombi. Lasso sends that out. Big collision between Ombi and Lasso. That's a rock at a hard place. A mountain of a man, Forrest Lasso, 6'5" in the back. Holpino, the former Rowdy. Another cross. Turning. Lancaster from Spencer. Lancaster finally blocked. It's a team block in the end between Lakawecki and Guillen.
This is obnoxious to mark a player like Cameron Lancaster. Look at how little of space he has to work with. It's a great job by Spencer getting it through, but look, 2v1, tiny little touches. Constantly checking your surroundings. Left shoulder, right shoulder. He's got the help there, and appreciative for the back line of the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Like a bit more pressure, though, on Cameron Lancaster for Neil Collins in that back line.
And again, the referee laying down the ground rules. Corner kicks presented by Single Point Solutions. In your corner with superior customer support, Single Point Solutions. Louisville looking for an equalizer. Nearly 62 minutes in. Jimenez, that won't get the job done. It's been a weird year for Oscar Jimenez. This is a guy who didn't have an assist in the opening couple months of the restart. John Hackworth said to us right before he got his first assist, he now has 2 against St. Louis. Can you imagine if we get him going too?
Just another weapon in the arsenal, right? Everything that Lou City's capable of. You and I were discussing coming into this match, and I made reference to it at the top of the broadcast. An argument to be made for sure, but I think at least from our point of view, most talented and highest level we've ever seen Lou City play. You think about that with all the names that have come through this organization, the wins, records, championships, there's a lot behind those statements. But just given the quality of product that's on the field, this would be some kind of victory for the Tampa Bay Rowdies, not just getting to the final, but against the company that they have the opportunity to do it against. A lot to be said between now and then. Just going actually back through that quick little box score that was.
Blast from the past. Think about who the Rowdies came into this league with. Joe Cole, Marcel Schaefer, Georgi Ristov.
Ristov, of course, forever.
I mean, this roster was star-studded. Under the leadership of Neil Collins, they've gone younger, they've gone faster.
They went on the road, more importantly. No, I mean that respectfully.
Yeah.
This team couldn't buy a vowel when it came to spinning the wheel come time. Venturing away from Al Lang. You and I broke down the numbers going all the way back to, I should say, prior to their entrance into the USL Championship, averaging like 3 wins on the road over the course of the season. There's a good look. A staggering turnaround. Kudos to Neil Collins and co.
Ombi broke through, cutback ball. Back here to Williams. Can't help but think of a Wheel of Fortune situation. 5 consonants and a vowel. Okay, LLDL. Those days are over, and they've done it by making changes to how they travel. They flew to this game on Thursday. They knew they'd have to make a stop leaving Tampa to get to Louisville, and they wanted to avoid any delays, so they got here early. Masoso lost his footing right at the end line. Tejada is close behind, but this a goal kick. And this is not a knock on Stu Campbell and what he did.
No, fantastic teams.
But ultimately what Neil Collins has done, resetting the culture here and getting the mix right, has been a really interesting thing, even if at times you aren't quite sure what they are yet.
Bob Lilly and the Pittsburgh Riverhounds could say the same thing. That's not a knock on Dave Brandt or any of his predecessors. Some good teams, good players, and some decent results. But at some point in time, your organization has to find a way to take a step to the next level. That is Neil Collins. And I think the key testament to that is he's seen it from both sides, Mike, right? As a player and now the manager. He understands what it's like to be there at the ground level, and more importantly, the transition in terms of ownership. He talks quite highly about what the new ownership brings to this team, whether it be their ability to travel in, as you mentioned, a day early to get the equation right. The facility is now capable of all the off-the-field increments they're able to put into place.
Oh, look at this. Hopino leaves Fernandez in the dust. That's well blocked by Guillen. Corner, Louisville. Handful of subs waiting to come in for Tampa Bay. But give Stu Sternberg a lot of credit. He's leading a couple of real winning organizations right now. Another look at this.
Watch the hands, by the way, and the feet. Leo Fernandez, sorry about that, of Aaron Guillen right here. Great job. Hands down by his side, out behind him. That's some new age defending. Still haven't read that book, but I think I'm going to be on the patch anytime soon.
Corner, Jimenez. Jimenez delivers back post. That's Lasso. That's launched as far as Masoso. Ombi gets away. Bone. Bouncing ball off frame. Changes are coming now. They're brought to you by MHS Global. On comes Malik Johnson. Guy who was on the Olympic qualifying provisional roster for Canada at the beginning of the year. That obviously all went away. Juan Tejada comes off. So we're starting to see some changes here for Tampa Bay, trying to maintain their advantage. Alex Davey is the one who replaces Tejada. Sub brought to you by MHS Global.
That's the one you really want to keep an eye on for Alex Davey, because he is a defensive player, right-sided for sure, under Jimmy Nielsen and Roddy Jaidi for Hartford Athletic coming over. And you put him next to Lekowecki now. It starts to solidify some things on that back line there. The key question is how many are they going to drop? Would be quite surprised to see them change their shape that much with so much time left on the clock.
Tejada and Dalgard out. Jordan Scarlett was injured and came out at the hydration break in the first half. So 3 subs and 2 windows have been used by the Rowdies. They have 2 subs and 1 window remaining in which to make changes. Notably, they still have Kyle Murphy, Lucky M. Kosana, and Lewis Hilton on the bench. That is a nasty final 3 to bring off the bench. Tosh. I'm not sure Sean Tosh teams have ever given up 2 goals in the postseason. There's wonderful sides in Rochester and coming into Louisville. Akra. Akra streaks back in. Slide off the mark. Now Del Piccolo hampering him from behind with a tug on the shorts. Advantage played, and now the whistle.
Yeah, great job by John Freeman here. This is well done by the refereeing crew. We don't give enough credit when it's due sometimes, and I'm going to step in and say well played, because Jan Akra did have an opportunity to continue to push forth here. Paolo Del Piccolo just pestering on that left-hand side. Tug of the jersey, little shoulder charge. Was the whistle after advantage doesn't play its way out. Brings it back.
Oh, Johnson. Johnson lays this across, seeking out Guinzotti with Steinberger in the 18 as well. But did not brandish a yellow for Del Piccolo on was clearly a professional and tactical foul. Ombi. Ombi trying to break through, enters the penalty area. There is no foul. Ombi back to his feet. Got the ball away. Did that get out? If it did, one wonders that it already crossed the line. It would be a goal kick.
Yep, that's the right call.
It is.
Of course, it's the position of the ball itself. Evan Loro does get his hands on it, but it looked like it had already been over the line. Actually quite surprised that Brian Ownby goes to ground here because he had beaten him. His momentum's already going down. Alex Davey recognizes that there's a little bit of pressure coming from the back shoulder, and that's already over. Again, great job. It's the AR on the near touchline. Perfect angle, well executed.
Ownby, one of the league's all-time great goal scorers in the postseason. Nothing yet. Guinzotti, he lost the footing of his own volition. So says the referee. Bone. Came away from Ekra. Fernandez stabs this forward. Steinberger. Steinberger into the penalty area. Looks to get the shot away off of Tosh. Johnson. Lakawecki overlaps. Best known as an outside back, not afraid to get into the final third. No question about that. Ahead by Doherty. It all comes down to this. A season unlike any other concludes Sunday, November 1st, when the champions of the East face the best of the West. Don't miss the 2020 USL Championship Final, Sunday, November 1st, 8:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and SiriusXM FC.
Well, the adjustment from the Rowdies is pretty spectacular, to be honest, where Jordan Doherty, obviously sitting deep in the middle, willing to step a bit more, not a lot, but just a bit more with the substitution of Alex Davey coming on. That's because Max Lekawecki has joined him on the interior, almost creating a box at times where making them play through four, and he's still dropping onto the back line as well, creating four at times, questioning Lou City of what they're going to do.
Holpino again, bouncing over. Attempt to get a boot to that from Lancaster. Throw here, Louisville.
About the shift of Soso and Oscar Jimenez as well. Jimenez coming to this right side now as he's favored that left so much. Interesting that they have gone that direction.
Jimenez really struggled last year. Holpino saying that was a clear dive. Jimenez really struggled on the right when Sean Francis was in. In the end, they figured out that the combination of McMahon on the right and Jimenez on the left was what was best for the team.
Well, that's what they were always trying to do. The problem is they had an issue at right back. Pat McMahon solved that. You no longer have that look, though, because you've taken him off. And so, you know, you've resorted yourself to the three. And now you've switched. Of course, Speedy Williams will drop in when need be. There's a good look at it, which can easily make it four, much like we saw Tosh do. But you have to find a way, with all the bodies that the Rowdies have in the midfield right now, I'm actually looking to spread this wide a bit more. The problem is there's a heck of amount of pressure coming from every single player in a Tampa Bay jersey.
Johnson speeding down. This clipped away by Tosh. Referee says not a foul. It's a stay in play, however, for the Rowdies. These teams met in the 4-5 game last year. Magnus Rasmussen scored twice in less than 2 minutes in a hellacious rainstorm. Ekra. Rowdies got one late on, but a 2-1 defeat. Trying to turn the tide here. Fernandez got this across. Took a little knock. Johnson tried to get by Masoso, just a bit too heavy. Comes over to Williams. 28-year-old central midfielder, perhaps playing his best ball in 2020. Ownby, whose agency reported he had signed a new contract with Louisville City over these last few days. Spencer gives chase, tried to pirouette around Steinberger. Guinzotti, Ekra powering out of midfield. Look at Ekro with speed. Tosh trailing away. Convoy of purple shirts. Doherty. Louisville throw, and we've reached a hydration break in the Eastern Conference Final. The Rowdies are 15 minutes and stoppage away from hosting the final next Sunday night. Let's take a look at our game summary. Get you caught up. Early goal, Zach Steinberger, 4th minute.
Overjoyed coming out from the Tampa Bay Rowdies on this flick on the near post. Really well done by Steinberger. 3 minutes in, courtesy of Leo Fernandez. Of course, you get him back in the 11, and he does wondrous things. There would be another response just before halftime. Seba Guanzati, look at this little flick across the body. So many players from the Tampa Bay Rowdies causing disruption in front of that back line. Difficult for Ben Lute. They go out in front by 2. But immediately, there was an intent coming out of halftime in the second half for Louisville City that they were going to go after this game. It's exactly what John Hackworth wanted. Thought maybe it would come off of Lancaster. Instead, you get a little 1-2 punch. Lacquetti, Forrest Lasso, doesn't matter who it hits, ends up in the back of their own net. And just like that, they were back within 1. 15 minutes just inside, Mike, for a shot at immortality.
And a reminder of what Antoine Holpino did last year when the chips were down in the Eastern Conference Final. Away to Indy, a cold October day. This in the 4th minute of stoppage. Redemption, revitalization, new life. Does he have that in him tonight? And in doing so, he'd do it against his former club. Louisville did make a change there at the stoppage. Now, because Masoso came on at halftime, that is the 2nd sub window used by Louisville. They have 2 subs left. Sub brought to you by MHS Global, Above and Beyond. Johnson for Jimenez in a last-ditch effort here to try and get some offense. And what's more, if they do get the goal, Niall McCabe, Jimmy Ockford, and Wes Sharpie are available. All could play anywhere in the back line. McCabe could play anywhere but center back. Lynn Family Stadium opening this year in July. Hasn't seen many losses. Lancaster, 7 goals in his last 7. Spencer setting up Williams. Williams delivers, chested back by Johnson into the feet of Loro. And Devin, Jason Johnson, we know has the capability to do this spectacular. We haven't seen it yet in Louisville. He only has 1 goal when the game was already in hand late in a regular season game earlier this year.
Primarily used in the substitution role, of course, Jason Johnson, but everything that he brought to the Western Conference Wild Child of Phoenix Rising now comes to the East. And to be honest, it's a pretty good grab for Louisville City. The problem is number one, they haven't necessarily needed his talents because of the form that they've been in. You're getting looks at him inside 10 minutes to go in a match in which they're already leading, and he's bringing on fresh legs to chase the game out a little bit. Now you're asking a bit more. And in situations like that, at least when he was at Phoenix Rising, he stepped up to the plate multiple times to help that club out. You just sort of wonder, is it in the future here with Lou City for Jason Johnson?
Fernandez circling over the ball, and there's Holpino. Fans head to Twitter, vote on tonight's Dr. Mark Lynn & Associates VisionWorks Man of the Match. Poll open next few minutes. Twitter.com/LouCityFC. Guanzati captains this Tampa Bay side, gesturing wildly to have this go another way. So Piccolo was frustrated in his own right. These are 2 teams where the word culture isn't thrown around lightly. They genuinely believe it. They've genuinely shown it throughout 2020. Season of unparalleled discomfort, frustration, sadness, and pain. And also the chance at a joyous celebration tonight. Holpino bypasses Fernandez. Acra picked his pocket. Acra going after it again. Del Piccolo was losing his footing. Advantage played. Was looking to get Steinberger there, was fouled.
A confusing one for me in these situations, Mike, is if you're gonna intentionally knock someone down, which he does, why not do it 15 yards prior? You know, Paolo Del Piccolo tied up with Jan Ekra, who's been wondrous in the midfield so far today. Bullish work being done by the Ivorian. To think how many times both of these squads have really started to change their shape. It seems like every single time you turn your head that they're giving you a different look, and that's not necessarily because they're trying to challenge the opposition. A lot of times, at least in the past 15 minutes, it's in response. A game of chess down the stretch here between Neil Collins and John Hackworth.
Two sides that didn't see each other all year. John Hackworth said the amount of film he, Danny Cruz, and the rest of the staff had watched, quote, nauseating. Couldn't look at his laptop anymore. These teams know each other fairly well from years past. Acra switches the point. Malik Johnson, who came on as a second-half sub. Masoso stabs in. Johnson maintained possession. Lakawecki. Ombi stripped him. Ombi chugging forward. Options on both sides. Lakawecki slid in. That was excellent. Crowd voicing mutual frustration. And the stoppage, Ombi is still down. If indeed this was a clean challenge, it's maybe the best challenge we've seen all night.
You always wonder, from a refereeing standpoint, what you're going to let players get away from. And I say that because a lot of times coming from a negative position, a referee is going to get you into trouble. This is ball. He gets the ball for sure. The key question is, are they going to let the boys play? It's a spectacular challenge by Lakawecki because there was a load of green pasture for Brian Ombi to run through.
Lakawecki coming off the bench and playing in an unfamiliar position due to the injury to Jordan Scarlett in the early going. And how important has Max Lakawecki been? Involved in the own goal, but that alone may have been worth the price of admission. On the road, can't watch the match? Turn on SiriusXM FC, North America's only 24/7 source of soccer radio, featuring Ray Hudson. Trouble here for Loon. Got it away. Goodness me. Fans of the USL can now listen to the best matches of the week, along with action from MLS, the Premier League, and UEFA Champions League. SiriusXM FC, channel 157 on your SiriusXM radio and the SiriusXM app.
This is going to be Opino for sure, just running his mouth after he felt like this is a studs-up challenge the entire way on Speedy Williams. Just moments prior, you saw what John Freeman was going to let you get away with a little bit on the challenge. Mats Lakawecki on Brian Ombi coming back through. Watch the forefoot that comes all the way through. Poor first touch, Aaron Guillen. Yeah, that's a foul, 100%. Don't care that he doesn't even get him. You're coming in with both feet up, you're gonna hurt someone.
Out to Fernandez. Fernandez with acres of space, looking at the runs, ball across. Sliding in, Jason Johnson leads to a corner. And this is suddenly opened up in a way that may become uncomfortable for Tampa Bay.
Well, what you're going to continue to see is Sean Tosh and Napo Masoso basically sitting, even just Tosh at times, because they're throwing so many bodies forward, but they have to. Key thought process there. Counter is always going to be on for the Rowdies. The key question is how much are they going to try and take advantage of it? Inside 10 minutes to go, approaching the 5-minute mark. Are they going to slow it down, step on it, and try and kill the clock? Or go for the jugular and grab the third goal?
A goal in the next few minutes could be the end of 3 straight years of USL Championship finals in Louisville. Corner delivered. Header, Lasso wide. And that's how close it came to feeling largely over. The Rowdies said they weren't just satisfied to be here, and you wouldn't expect them to be. So frustrated by their season of struggles against Charleston. They felt they rebounded well against opponents who have beaten them. They've done that on the bone. Stymied for a moment. Holpino allowed through, Bone. Sent it through thinking that Spencer was there. Step back out to Williams. Williams delivers. Lancaster brought it down. Johnson trying to hold up play out to Steinberger. And a touch from Del Piccolo. It's a high-risk game now for Louisville. Ombi. Masoso slides it forward. Driven away, Masoso slow to get back up. Guinzotti goes into Tosh. Movable object underneath that. He's only lost once in 19 games. Tosh now the last line of defense. This will run past Holpino and out. 4.5 minutes and stoppage to go, separating the Rowdies from a USL championship final against El Paso or Phoenix next Sunday night.
And quite interesting up top right now with the rotation that you're seeing out of Lou City. Almost thought Corbin Bone probably got this wrong and should have kept it himself, been selfish. Of course, that's really easy to say considering the form that he's been, but the fact that you have Cameron Lancaster behind you always makes you think, look, if I can get it to him, we've got a shot, but he cannot sleep on himself.
Johnson there pursuing Laurel Pounced.
He's got to stay right with that. And with these finite looks that you're going to get coming down the stretch, understand you don't have to resort at this point in time to knocking these long balls in for last chance efforts. You could still play. And yes, you are giving up space behind. It does not matter anymore. You know, you're chasing this game. All you care about are the next couple of minutes and that game-tying goal.
One wonders what Iron Brew tastes like coming out of a championship trophy. How close are the Rowdies to tasting that? Knotted out to Bone. Louisville's been to the final in the East 6 straight years. This deflects and gets out into the standing supporters section behind the goal. Corner Louisville, time of the essence.
And just see if they use any sort of trickery, Mike, with all of the pieces that they go after from corners. They do have late runners at the top of the 18. Watch.
Bone all the way through. They're saying that Lasso got a touch. That's what Lancaster continues to argue. All the while, Lasso being ridden a bit by Williams.
Myself included, I thought he got a touch on this thing too. Back post. I don't see, the key point here is watch the ball, and I didn't see any change in direction in terms of the spin on the ball. Whether he meant to do it or not, it's a great effort on the back post by Forrest Lasso.
Laurel pounds this away. Holpino sent off into the technical area. John Hackworth is gesturing to get everybody forward. It is a Louisville free kick. Ben Luke coming over says he'll get this instead. He puts it in play for Williams. Will walk forward. And that is a poor ball. Fernandez lobs it into space. More precious time ticks away. Louisville, exceedingly difficult games at home. They ended Pittsburgh's season, the team that opened the restart in Louisville, with a crushing victory. They ended St. Louis FC's franchise. Tonight, the Rowdies appear poised to spring tremendous upset. An upset in every mind but their own. Johnson. There's Masoso, Ombi. Great work by Malik Johnson. Johnson unleashed into the wide area.
Don't just play kickball here, Mike. Again, I understand it's getting down to the nitty-gritty, but You're too tactful on the ball all season long to resort to these long balls into the box. There you go. You can still play if you're Lou City. Rowdy's got to get back, though. Look at the numbers they have.
Lancaster, that's a hand ball. And the next time Louisville touches this ball, almost assuredly in stoppage time. Stoppage time is presented by Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport. Referees have added 4 additional minutes. Goal here from the Rowdies. Certainly feel like the end. Accra spins off of Hopino. Hopino knocks him off the ball. Over constant objection. Spencer struggling here to get away. There's the foul. And a yellow card to Accra. Neil Collins is incensed. One wonders if those extra seconds come into the mind of John Freeman, the referee, as we go forward. If Louisville's attacking one last time. Accra's yellow card presented by World of Beer. Johnson. Speared away into space. Guenzati. There's Tosh. Throw Tampa Bay.
It's the 3rd time that they've played the ball directly into Jason Johnson. He's been able to usher it down off his chest, but nobody playing down off of him. That one almost looking around in disgust, like, I can't do it all myself. Able to bring it up and just pop it up about 30 yards from goal, but no one around him in a Lou City uniform. And again, Mike, I'm going back to it. Just long balls all day. Everything they're doing right now is lacking imagination, and I understand it's last-ditch efforts, but recognize the fact that everything that got you here, you are moving yourself further and further away from it.
Hopino cross. Snuck all the way through. It was Lancaster and Spencer close to it together. 2 more minutes. Masoso flies it forward. Loro collects. One wonders just how much a loss here on a rainy night at Slugger Field in 2019 plays into the mentality of this Rowdies side. Guenzati came from an offside position to take this. 2 goals from Magnus Rasmussen in the 23rd and 24th minute. Ended the Rowdies season far more prematurely than they anticipated. This year they go all the way to the Eastern Conference Final with 2 gritty performances against Birmingham and Charleston. They come up north with some kind of mission, and they're only 80 seconds away from succeeding. Ahead to Masoso. It'll be the last minute if Louisville's to find an equalizer. Forward again. Loro high points it. And we're at the last chance saloon now. All the way through to Tosh. Williams has to revert back. Accra's gonna man mark Williams up the field, forcing Lunt to fire this across the halfway line. Williams, bounding ball. Omby tried to send it further. Back into the Louisville half. The Rowdies potentially just 15 seconds away. Surely this has to be it for Louisville. The Rowdies will win the East. Up and over Del Piccolo. Del Piccolo drives it forward. Headed away toward Accra. Accra into the challenge. Over to Fernandez. And another championship is coming to Tampa Bay. The Rowdies go into Louisville and win the Eastern Conference. They'll host the final in St. Petersburg next Sunday night. And the fans from Ralph's Mob who made the trip up from Florida love it. Steinberger, the early goal. 4th minute, put the game on the Rowdies' terms. Neil Collins' side go on the road and grab a staggering 2-1 win. And one must think back to last year's final. John Hackworth told us early this year he could feel the moment the momentum shifted in that game where the luck ran out. The Rowdies provide that pivotal moment tonight and win the Eastern Conference for the first time.
With the departure of Lou City, Mike, you will see a new champion. Of course, Real Monarchs out. The key question is going to be now, who awaits them? Phoenix Rising was there in 2018. They have an opportunity to possibly grab another trophy on their mantle. But from start to finish, for the Tampa Bay Rowdies, I said coming in that against the Charleston Battery, that was their best performance. Scratch that. This is it right here. It doesn't matter how much possession you have. It doesn't matter what you're asked to do in the final third. If you make the most of your opportunities, if you lock down defensively, you can win. Look at Forrest Lasso and Neil Collins in the background.
And meanwhile, for Louisville, that's how close they came to another Eastern Conference championship trophy. It's going to be given to the Rowdies as they go away and pick up their first win ever in Louisville. Lucky M. Kosana was traded by Louisville midway through last year, doesn't feature in the game at all, but his side is still going to the championship final next Sunday night at Al Lang Stadium. And like the Rays, like the Lightning, and I'm sure like many in the Tampa area, hope the Buccaneers, maybe the brightest era of Tampa Bay sports is upon us, and the celebration continues. Meanwhile, for Louisville, Devin, they opened their new stadium this year. These Rowdies fans able to come here in part because a 15,000 seat capacity meant 5,000 fans would be allowed. They sold out the entire allotment every single game they played here. They had a tremendous home record. They thought that third star was inevitable. And in the end, they come up a hair short of going back to their 4th consecutive USL championship final.
It's going to be devastating for the boys for sure. And you can see on their faces, Mike, how upsetting it is. You just have to understand that as the season has gone on, you know, to start the year, everybody was on this team's back saying, oh, this is poor. There was, as mentioned, the sack hack hashtag that was trending. Ridiculous to even think of it considering the form that they're in. But the reason they got to this point was because of the fact that they kept changing. But they kept changing in a positive nature, and they found the formula that worked for them. That formula didn't take shape in the first half. So when you have to start to change again, where does that come from? They never truly got the wing play fully involved. More importantly, they never got the midfield involved, and that was the key point here tonight. Asking both of these coaches coming in, I specifically went at him and said, how does this look for Jan Ekra and Zach Steinberger come to play for the Rowdies when you have to go and challenge Speedy Williams to go after him? And he said, you know what? Neil Collins said, we have to apply pressure, but we have to respect him as well. We cannot allow him to dictate the play, but at the same point in time, we will let them go side to side. Tell me that's not exactly what you saw in the opening 45 minutes. Conversely, for Louisville City, Corbin Bone, Paolo Del Piccolo, to no fault of their own, because for me, this goes down to the performance of the Tampa Bay Rowdies, not lack thereof by Lou City. The imagination was lacking from the midfield three. Speedy Williams always trying to find enough space. He couldn't. Corbin Bone, Paolo Del Piccolo trying to find a way to get the ball in to Cameron Lancaster, move it down into the channels. They were incapable of it. And at the end of the day, that team right there rightfully deserves to represent the Eastern Conference.
How long they've waited to experience this moment. In a COVID-19 time, perhaps not a lot of kissing or drinking out of that. Cameron Lancaster looks on loan from Nashville. What's in his future? We know what's in the future for these Tampa Bay Rowdies. And they hoist an Eastern Conference championship trophy for the first time in franchise history. a modern trophy for one of America's all-time soccer organizations. The team bought by Stu Sternberg, the owner of the Tampa Bay Rays. Devin asked about the movie Moneyball in the lead up to this game and how they tried to perhaps recreate a 10 in the aggregate. Don't call this Moneyball, it's Rowdy Ball, and the Tampa Bay Rowdies, 2020 Eastern Conference champions. Coming up, the Kentucky Office of Highway Safety post-game wrap-up. Al Lang Stadium in Tampa Bay's St. Pete area will play host on the waterfront to the final next week. Our wrap-up when we return.
During the Today's the Day event, lease this 2020 Camry LE for $199 a month.
For the fans who started painting 3 hours before the game. For the fans who celebrate with high fives. For the huggers. The chest bumpers. And this guy. For fans like you who do things your way, there's Park Community Credit Union. Your city, your team, your way.
Love getting prices that are lower than low on food that's fresher than fresh? With the Kroger app, you can get personalized coupons on top of weekly sales and rewards like fuel points, all for prices that are lower than the everyday low. So go ahead, get lower than low. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Welcome back, everybody. This is the sight Rowdies fans have longed for. Finally, a piece of silverware for all the work that Neil Collins, Lee Cullen, Bill Edwards, Stu Sternberg now have put in to building this organization into a winner. Tonight, they go to maybe the most difficult place in the championship to win. Sebastian Guenzati wants a little less social distancing for a photo for all those fans from Ralph's Mob, the supporters that made their trip up to experience this moment with these players who have come so far and now won so much. The championship final next Sunday night on ESPN from Al Lang Stadium. Tonight's Dr. Mark Lynn and Associates VisionWorks Man of the Match is voted on by Louisville City fans Antoine Hopino. And surely he's going to be frustrated tonight. He's also a part of tonight's Toyota Move of the Game. Toyota, let's go places.
And this was a portion of the match, Mike, where Louisville City starting to fight back into it. Little how do you do to Leo Fernandez. Would get to the byline, would knock it back across, would not end up in the back of the net. As we all know, Lou City falling short 2-1. So let's run it all the way back, Mike. Let's go all the way back to the first half. 3 minutes in with seconds added. Zach Steinberger, Leo Fernandez coming into the 11. Magnificent ball to the near post. And let's just pop another one in the repertoire for the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Zach Steinberger coming out of the midfield, puts them out in front 1-0.
First of the year for Steinberger. And number 8 by trade, pushing higher up the field, managed the opening goal of this match. And then in a lengthy such streak where Louisville had done it. Final seconds of the first half. Hardy rebound off the effort by Dalgard, poked home by Guenzati.
Just too many bodies in the box, to be honest. Even though Ben Luton makes the save, look, nobody's there to help him out. And give a shout out to Ryan Davis, analyst from the Tampa Bay Rowdies. He's got 2 of his boys in there, the Fox in the box, and as he would say, El Capitan, Guenzati, 45 plus 3, it's 2-0. That's all she wrote, right? Absolutely not. Lou City, Cameron Lancaster, pressure coming in. Good cutback by Omi, gets it on the left foot. Ball to the back post, 2-1.
And Louisville would suddenly have about 45 minutes to try and turn this thing around. That championship pedigree tonight, not enough. And the Rowdies hoist a trophy for the first time in the modern era. A USL Championship Eastern Conference crown. They'll now host either El Paso or Phoenix, the Group C and Group B champions, respectively. The USL Championship final next Sunday night on ESPN Deportes and SiriusXM FC. Something to look forward to here, Dev.
Well, I'll catch you in 50 minutes to get going on that one and then turn the page. And I guess we're hoping 2 hours after that we'll have a better idea. But again, circling back around, Mike, we had a lot of questions for the Tampa Bay Rowdies of what this is going to look like this season. As the season went on, people looked down upon some of their performances, myself included. I have no problem saying it, but they got better. They proved a lot of people wrong, and this team is ripe for their first championship run.
An incredible Eastern Conference final for our entire Vista WorldLink team, led by Mike Friedman, producer Sharni Yerke, director Gage Tillotson, Eric Falero, Devin Kerr alongside Mike Watts saying, thanks for watching. Louisville City dethroned the Rowdies, Eastern Conference champions. We'll see you at Al Lang next week. Good night.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.